2, 1. Stage 2 emitters activating now.
Half-Life has left its mark in the minds of gamers, and Valve's FPS sci-fi series has its fair share of iconic monstrosities and nasties, the most memorable of which are the headcrabs. These not-so-cute skittering creatures with a unique and horrifying ability to take over the bodies of humans have made appearances across the various titles. The headcrabs essentially originate from the homeworld of multiple sentient species, including the Vortigaunts, the Nihilants, and alien controllers. They evolved to use Vortigaunts as hosts, and throughout the history of the planet, they were used as biological weapons by Nihilants against the Vortigaunts, leading to their eventual domination and enslavement. When a powerful interdimensional empire known as the Combine began their own conquest of domination, the last three Nihilants escaped the Zen, the border-world plane of existence that lies between dimensions, bringing with him every servant, slave, and creature he could from his planet, including the headcrabs. There the Supreme Leader hid and worked on rebuilding his forces until he could find a new suitable home for his planet. When human scientists working at Black Mesa began teleportation experiments into Zen, the Nihilanth was made aware of Earth and saw it as a potential sanctuary free from Combine control. The experiments at the Black Mesa research facility essentially would trigger a rare quantum event known as a resonance cascade, which ruptured space-time and allowed the creatures from Zen to teleport into the facility. The personnel who survived the initial incident attempted a resonance reversal using an orbiting satellite to seal the tear, but ultimately failed as the Nihilanth was using his power to hold the rift open. The survivors would soon realize the arrival of the aliens was not an accident, but the first step of an interdimensional invasion. As part of their assault, the Nihilanth's forces captured humans and through genetic engineering, modified the headcrabs to bond with human hosts. The goal was to turn humans into mindless zombies that would turn on their own kind and ensure the invasion was a success. The headcrabs are essentially omnivorous parasitic organisms, roughly the size of a pumpkin. Using their 4 legs, 2 long and clawed front ones, and 2 stubby legs at the back for support, they can leap up to 10 feet in the air. All subspecies of the organisms hide their nightmare fuel in their underbellies, which contain a large rounded mouth surrounded by mangled rigid flesh with a sharp claw-like beak. As a parasitic species, survival hinges on their ability to take over a host, and when they have a humanoid in sight, they'll leap straight for their face and make their way to the top of the head. Once there, they'll affix themselves with their gaping mouths and use their beaks to break into the victim's skull, before injecting sedatives and other chemicals to facilitate the transformative process. The headcrabs then proceed to control neural structures and synapses to take over their host's motor functions, and once this occurs, the host begins to undergo physical changes. First, the skin will rot and deteriorate as muscle tone is lost, giving their fingers a claw-like appearance. As the victim's flesh deteriorates further, organs become exposed inside the abdominal cavity, all the while the host is alive and conscious. While creating zombies is how headcrabs protect their species, the last stage of their life cycle and transformation into gonarchs enable them to reproduce without a host.
Here we go. Ah! Damn it, get it off me! Lamar! There you are. I thought you got rid of that pest.
Certainly not. Never fear, Gordon. She's debeaked and completely harmless.
Interestingly, their hostile nature can actually be tamed through the process of debeaking, essentially removing the teeth of headcrabs, which somehow suppresses their parasitic instincts and makes them harmless.
They're showing us!
In Half-Life 2, the Combine are seen utilizing the monstrosities as biological weapons against the Resistance, in the form of large mortar shells containing a payload of headcrabs that are released on impact. These headcrab shells would be launched over long distances and land in enemy-controlled territory. Used primarily to flush out and destroy Resistance bases, they've been responsible for the destruction of several communities. The effects of large-scale shelling is seen during Gordon's visit to the devastated town of Ravenholm, where most inhabitants have been turned into zombies as a result of it. In addition to the headcrabs themselves, the headcrab zombies, or necrotic as they're referred to by the Combine Overwatch, would go on to become one of the most common enemies featured in the series. Whether it be in the form of headcrab shells or variants forced onto political prisoners, the zombification process is one of the many ways that the Combine intimidated and enslaved the human race. Through some unknown biological process, the host's hands turn into long skeletal claws, while their chest cavity opens up to reveal a massive maw and ribs serving as their new teeth. And much like headcrabs, zombies will blindly pursue their prey, completely oblivious to danger. The creatures mainly attack with swipes from their claws, but in Half-Life 2, they gain the ability to forcefully punt objects towards the player. Certain zombies can also be found sleeping and playing dead, ready to pounce on anyone that gets close. It's highly contested whether a person is technically alive after turning into a zombie. However, the groaning that standard zombies constantly make are believed to be the muffled attempts from the host to yell for help. This would seem to indicate that not only are they alive, but they're very aware of what is happening to them. With the horrific revelation of what was unfolding at the Black Mesa research facility, the government would dispatch a military force to contain the threats and silence witnesses. The invading army would prove to be too much for the units, and after suffering heavy casualties, a decision was ultimately made to level the facility with airstrikes. This and the actions of Gordon Freeman, who teleports to Zen and kills the Nihilith leader, ultimately end the invasion. Unfortunately, though Freeman's actions halted the incursion, the portal storms continued to intensify, attracting the attention of the Combine, who then decided that they too wanted to occupy the Earth. With that being said, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the series. Do you think that Half-Life 3 will ever see the light of day? And would you be interested in a long-form deep dive into the full storyline? Let me know in the comments below. Well, that's all for today, folks. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe to stay up to date on all my content. And yeah, if you have any other suggestions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. As always, it's been a pleasure. Niyat here with Film Comics Explained. Thanks for stopping by.
He tried to warn them. I never thought I'd see a resonance cascade, let alone create one.